All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Mark Genua. I'm the Director of Apprenticeship Strategies at Philadelphia Works. So for those who don't know about Philadelphia Works, we are the Workforce Development Board for the city of Philadelphia. And, boards look differently across the country. We kind of consider ourselves, I would say, a quasi-governmental type board where we're a separate 501c3 nonprofit, but our president and board of directors is appointed by the mayor of Philadelphia. So that's that connection into local government here. Like most workforce boards, we are the managers and oversight body of the bulk of the WIOA, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act funding, as well as the TANF funding. And here in Philadelphia, we oversee the 4 Career Link centers nationwide known as American One-Stop Job Centers. And then, my specific role in the team, the apprenticeship team at Philadelphia Works, is really to, one, provide that oversight ability to the various funding that has come down from federal and state levels for apprenticeship programs, but then, the oversight body of the WIOA funding we use in apprenticeship programs. So without further ado, I'm happy to host this panel, moderate this panel today. And, this morning we talked a lot about, employers, intermediaries, some of the data and statistics on apprenticeship programs. But, I feel, right now we have, what is at the heart of apprenticeship programs are apprentices and mentor on the panel. So I'll start if each apprentice and mentor wants to give about, a couple-minute introduction of themselves, their title, and then their company and kind of what their company does. I'll start here closest with me with Jay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Is this on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you want to hit that button on the screen.
All right, there we go. My name is Jay Adams. I'm a community health worker with Philadelphia Fight, the Institute for Community Justice. What we are, Fight Overall is a federally qualified network of healthcare centers, and I work with the Institute for Community Justice, which is a reentry center where we help folks returning home from prison. We go into the prisons, link them with care, try to start removing barriers from them before they get out. And upon them coming home, we continue that help in the communities by removing the barriers from them, linking them to other resources throughout the city. We are in the communities on a daily basis trying to affect change and change the narrative of how returning citizens are viewed and looked upon. And I'm happy to say that view is changing, because when we start to change the way we see things, the things we see will change. And the way returning citizens were viewed in the past was as from a view of public menaces to society. But now the roles have changed, and thereby the grace of God, now I'm the face of public safety. How about that? I'm out here doing the good work, when in the past, individuals such as myself would have been thrown to the side and neglected and just put down. So I appreciate programs like this. I appreciate the work that the city and the country is doing to change the narrative on reentry. And even though that's not what we're here about the Apprentice program, but it's all intertwined. It's all relative. Everything is connected. If one section is not doing well, it bleeds over into the other section, and it's a ripple effect. And that's me.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Shanay Durham.
Shanay, do you want to hit your microphone?
Okay, here we go. Good afternoon. My name is Shanay Durham, and I actually play a dual role I work for PMHCC Case Management. At PMHCC Case Management, we service individuals in the community that are struggling with mental health challenges, along with who are in recovery. In that role, I serve as the training manager also, but within this role, I serve as the recovery specialist, apprentice supervisor, along with the mentor for the addiction counseling program. So I have a great opportunity as far as coming from both perspectives.
Good afternoon. I'm Markus Mitchell. I'm a help desk analyst at JEVS Human Services. A little bit about myself. I got to JEVS through a few different programs. The first of which was not a JEVS program. They teach web development and professional development. They're called HopeWorks out of Camden, New Jersey. It's a 4 to 6 month program. Like I said, they teach web development, but I was already teaching myself. So I finished that program in 1 month. They hired me. We were based out of Orleans Technical College, which is a JEVS facility. Through that, I met Edison Freire, and he pulled me into the AmeriCorps/JEVS IT pre-apprenticeship, which is Tech Serve Scholars. We performed a year of service through our community, just providing STEM enrichment to the greater Philadelphia areas. Through there, we worked with the Parks and Recs. I wound up managing my own lab, and I was administrating a small office in my morning placement. From that, I got the 2018 pre-apprentice of the state of Pennsylvania for the year of 2018, I'm sorry. I moved on to my apprenticeship through JEVS, which I became a help desk analyst, at the same time going to CCP, Community College of Philadelphia. I maintained a 4.0 GPA while maintaining my apprenticeship. I also picked up a second job on the side of that as well towards the later part of my apprenticeship. Thank you. Yeah, I pretty much finished that out, and now I'm an employee of JEVS Human Services. I'm an official help desk analyst for JEVS Human Services.
And just to interrupt there, if you haven't seen it, Markus was a spotlight was done on him in the New York Times. So check it out if you haven't looked at it. All right, Dan.
Hi, my name is Dan Ruprecht. I'm a tool and die apprentice at Southco. Southco makes access technology and all sorts of plastic parts for a wide variety of industries. So you're never more than 50 feet away from a Southco part. Every plastic part has a mold, and I work on, evaluate, and diagnose and repair all of the molds. So it's more than just precision metalworking. There's a lot of other things that come into it. To start off my technical background, I went to Automotive Vo-Tech while I was in Garnet Valley High School. I joined the Marine Corps, and I was an aircraft mechanic on CH-53 helicopters, specializing in hydraulics and airframes, which would be fiberglass and sheet metal work. After that, I went to Delaware County Community College. I have an associate's degree in advanced technology, just received one in machine tool technology. I started the apprenticeship with Southco. HR representatives actually came into one of my classes at Delaware County. That's how I was made aware of the company. I got a job as an operator running the machines that make the plastic parts. An apprenticeship opened. I already had some of the formal learning under my belt, so I got the job as an apprentice. I achieved my CNC journeyman's papers about last July. So I am a journeyman CNC machinist, and now I'm still going for the tool and die maker apprenticeship, which has just been completed. So,
Excellent.
thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you for those introductions. So Markus and Dan touched on it, kind of how they got involved, about the apprenticeship, how they first, their pathway to it. So I'm curious to kind of turn it to Jay as an apprentice. How did you first hear, about a community health worker apprentice, and why did you decide to enter into the program?
Well, I first heard about it through my job at Philadelphia Fight. I was a outreach worker on the outreach team, and my director and my reentry center manager suggested that I go ahead and take the CHW apprenticeship. And I went through Temple with Cheryl Friedman, and I see my instructor in the back, Mr. Michael. I can't remember his last name, but Michael back there. How you doing? And it was a very good experience, and I would recommend it to anybody who is cash strapped and can't afford to go to college. Where else you're going to get a existing and relevant set of training for free, and it gives you a sustainable wage as well. So the program is very, very important, and I would like to see it go nationally. And I was really liking the part where you're going to start implementing it into K through 12 and getting our youth involved, and show them they have different venues and avenues to pursue instead of just college and incurring a mountain of debt. So the program is very beneficial.
Excellent. So I guess to Shanay, it's a similar question, but in term, how did you first hear about the apprenticeship program, and why did you choose to be a mentor in this program?
Well, the opportunity came to us when Cheryl, oh, excuse me, I did it again. Sorry, guys. All right, I'm gonna get this right. The opportunity came to us when Cheryl met with our director and discussed and presented the overview of the 1199C program. And so from there, first of all, let me back up and explain. We've been a part of the program for 3 years now. We've had an apprentice with us for 3 consecutive years. And so once, we heard about the mission and what they do, we thought this would be a great opportunity to find ourselves, giving ourselves the ability to go out and meet young people and provide them with knowing that they have learned the skills in the classroom, and now we can then bring them on board to actually be able to apply those skills into the workforce.
Excellent, excellent. So this question is next to open to all apprentices. I'll start with Dan at the end. With an apprenticeship program, there's a mix of obviously on-the-job learning and an educational component. So what support have you received, from your employer, from other external partners that have helped you kind of thrive in this apprenticeship program?
It's, some of the support I've gotten is from the community college. Mostly it's my coworkers. I have the, I guess, advantage of having very experienced coworkers that are there. These are guys with 30 to 40 years experience in some cases that have been active in the industry and staying current with it, which is very important. Supervision at work has been helpful in that there's a large list of competencies and they're very broad spectrum, and not every employer may have access to all of the capabilities that the apprenticeship wants. So they've been working with me in regards to that. Tuition reimbursement, that's very big. I think a very main reason that a lot of people may drop out of community college is because of financial strains. There's also Tooling U, which is a great program Stephanie and her team have started, which is online learning. So if you are working full-time and don't have access to a community college, you can do everything online.
Excellent. Markus, do you want to take that next?
As Dan mentioned, JEVS does supply tuition reimbursement. We have a partnership with CCP. It's a corporate college type of deal. So I go to community college on JEVS dime. We also are fortunate enough to have the only, I believe the only Cisco certified Net Academy instructor in the city at Orleans Technical College. So he's actually one of my mentors as well. I pick his brain a lot, try to stay around him as much as I can. It gives me access to a lot of resources and materials to, further my education for myself off of CCP's time. I do a lot on my own as well. Just being at home and, like I said, having that second job at that computer repair shop, that's a lot of just, taking what I'm learning in school and, whether it's me looking up things on my own and just going to be able to apply it at my second job, because we actually break down the computers, because, at JEVS, if something goes bad, not just the JEVS, but like in a corporation period, if something goes bad, it'll get replaced, and what's getting recycled gets recycled. So I get to recycle the equipment, and I get to do the actual refurbishment of the recycled equipment. And even at JEVS, I get a lot of valuable experience just working the actual job. That's more JEVS, like they provide the experience with the clean work, as far as just dealing with my employees or users, troubleshooting their issues, troubleshooting hardware issues at the job, replacing workstations, all that kind of stuff. That's good knowledge, as well as working with like certain databases as far as like Active Directory and termination and activation of employees, permissions for who should see what, and all kinds of stuff like that.
Excellent. Jay?
My supervisor, Mr. Powell, has been very supportive of me and is always encouraging me to seek out further trainings, professional development. I've learned a lot from him in regards of diplomacy, because I'm a straight shooter. I usually say what's on my mind, and it comes out before my brain thinks about it. And I've learned a lot from Mr. Powell in that regard, and he's been more than a mentor. He's been a friend to me, and his tutelage has been invaluable in my progress and working in the reentry field.
Excellent. So I'll turn it, to Shanay as a mentor. What support, and/or training have you received to really prepare you to be a mentor to your apprentices that you're overseeing?
Well, in the beginning, 1199C had orchestrated and set up trainings for us as mentors to attend on, and I think we met quarterly, about every 4 months or so. And it was really helpful because the first training consisted of helping you become familiar with the competencies. The competencies are extremely important in whatever role you play as a mentor, because you need to understand basically this is the guideline in which your mentee/apprentice will be following, and which will be with the skills that they should be learning throughout the time that they're with you. After that, we just continue to keep in contact and conversation with the 1199C when there was ever any type of concerns regarding our process with the learning curve and so forth. And they've always been, 1199C has always been very helpful with supporting us and as far as the training that we need. And then in addition, there was a point mid-year where there was a training that was created to help us as we are supporting the population, which we call the millennials. And so Cheryl and her team put together a great training for us. So because there was a I wouldn't say for me, I'm speaking on myself, there was a learning gap as far as like what my expectations should be of that individual, and attending that training was extremely helpful. So when they've identified, so there was established trainings, and then once they saw that there were additional needs for trainings, they then put it in place for us, so then we can continue throughout the year and be successful with our apprentice.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. So before I continue with my questions, anyone have questions from the audience? Anyone? Oh, over here.
Excuse me. So you kind of explained your journey as to how you came upon the apprenticeship itself. Were there other apprentices in your cohort who didn't make it? And if so, are there any lessons that we can learn from their experience?
I can speak for the CHW apprenticeship, the cohort that I went through. As far as I know, I believe everyone did graduate, and as far as I know, they're all still employed. It was a class of about maybe 20 or so. And I work with about 5, 6 of them I still see on a regular basis, and we collaborate and trade resources and information. So the retention of the CHW apprenticeship, I believe, is very, very good.
Excellent. Anybody else want to handle that? No good? Okay. Next question, right here front.
Question for the mentor, actually for the group. So you're working full-time, you're going to school full-time. Some of us have done that. You face crises in your lives. Life doesn't go away. And I'm wondering, from the mentor's perspective, do you find yourself being a resource for other sort of ancillary services, whether that might be counseling or something along those lines? And I guess for the mentees, are you open to utilizing the mentor in that way?
The answer is yes. Like I said, we've had 3 cohorts, and with each group presented different challenges. When I think about our first group, with those challenges, there was a lot of counseling at different points because, like I said earlier, it's a learning curve for all of us, for myself as a mentor and for the apprentice. The particular population the apprentice age range was about 22 to 25, 21, 25. So there were some soft skills that, that had to be addressed and so forth. And then it was just then having to address the work-life balance, and so it was, again, a learning experience, and we both recognized what the areas of strengths was for that person and what the areas of that was needed for growth. And so we would just address it during supervision and do our best to really problem solve, because as a mentor, you have the opportunity to be many things in that space. So you are someone that is helping a young person problem solve. Like, you know, one of the great things about challenges is that after you overcome that challenge, guess what? You got another challenge waiting for you. But it's because you overcame that first challenge, that's what's going to allow you to now be able to deal with this new challenge. And so within that experience, the apprentice, you know, those are the challenges that we will have to address sometimes. And sometimes had nothing to do with the actual work in that moment because we had to address that part before we can get to the work. And so we did our best. I did my best to support her with those challenges, and I did my best so we would have counseling, then sometimes we would have just guidance, you know, just helping her make the best decision for herself.
Excellent. I guess similar to Markus and Dan, you know, what have you found has been the hardest aspects of your program so far?
Hardest aspect of the program. That's a pretty tough one. If you got a better answer, you can definitely go.
I would just,
I don't really have anything bad to say or anything hard to say.
I think it's, for my trade, it would be the broad range of competencies that are involved with the program. For example, there's a large section on CNC turning, which we don't have that capability at my facility. So we have to go to Delaware County Community College, which could be better equipped, in all honesty. So I think it's that broad range, and this comes back to employers having to work with schools and the apprenticeship teams. They all have to get together and find a way that everybody's going to be able to fulfill all these requirements set down by the program, because the company may not be able to perfectly match that apprenticeship and vice versa.
I'd also like to add, I know we talk a lot about learning on the job, and even with going to school, you know, there's some sort of enlightenment as far as education is concerned. I would say personally, I would like to just see a better push on, you know, allocating some kind of in-house structure for, you know, education. Like if I'm at Orleans working my apprenticeship, which I was, being able to allocate some time away from my actual job to, you know, sit down with a mentor instructor and, you know, just catch up on what my educational goals are and things like that. Or even if it's just going over coursework and, you know, just actually learning while I'm on the job, not working, but like being in the books per se.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Anyone else have questions in the audience? Right in the middle?
Hi. This is a question for the apprentices in particular. First, congratulations to you all for being in and nearly done or moving through your programs. It sounds like you've all enjoyed it and exciting for what's next. So congratulations to you. I am curious, so I was on the last panel talking about youth apprenticeship. I spend a lot of time thinking about how to get young people interested in the kinds of programs that you all are going through. Very young people, younger than you. I'm curious if you could share with us a little bit about what drew you to the program, what other things you might have been considering to make the next step in your careers, and what ultimately made you decide that this was the route you wanted to take.
Yeah, the youth question, which I've been hearing a lot throughout the conference. So for my high school experience, VOTEC was frowned upon a lot. It was not what the teachers or the administration or anybody wants you to do. I heard a gentleman from New Jersey say that they are giving credit for the school. So I think that's huge because they want everybody going 4-year because that looks good for them. So I had no exposure to precision machining going all the way through high school. And I was actually not aware of it until I was in community college. And that's where I got my first exposure to this. So I think the school, at least from my experience in high school, it should not be frowned upon to go into a trade or otherwise. And there needs to be some sort of push that these are viable options for a career. And not, you know, it was really a bad stigma about it. So I'd say it's very important to at least present these as options, and if they go into that field, and they don't like it, at least they'll figure out that they don't want to do that for the rest of your lives. Because I don't think anybody knows what they want to do for the rest of your life at 16.
I'm trying to figure it out now.
I think before I even found the apprenticeship, I knew I wanted to do computer work. I would say from a young age, I was always like, I wasn't the most tech savvy, but in my household, I was that was forced upon me. So it became part of me. I think I knew I wanted to do it when I quit my last job. I was like working at Chick-fil-A, and I was just like I said, I was doing web development, and then I was just thinking about like every avenue of technology, just brainstorming, and just doing research on like there's so many avenues in technology. I just something inside of me just sensed there had to be some kind of like gateway, I would say, to get into it somehow, some fashion. Obviously, I thought I would need or require an associate's at least, which wasn't my case. I was fortunate for JEVS picking me up. But, I just remember studying web development one day, and I was just looking at my laptop and like, okay, the code on the screen is money, but look at the device itself. I got a screen that's probably worth some money if I was to break it and have to get it repaired. The hard drive inside of it is probably worth something. The memory, the motherboard, is everything that goes into computing is valuable. So based off of that, I always kept in mind another route, which I did wind up taking, going from web development to IT. Yeah, I mean, once I quit my job and, I talked to God a lot, and I actually winded up about a month later getting like word of mouth through, friends who aren't even, remotely interested in technology. Yo, this is going on at Orleans Technical College. You should go check it out. I went and did it, and ever since then, I knew it's what I wanted to do. So that's it, pretty much.
For
And I
me,
think, I'm sorry.
Oh.
You know, go for it.
for me, the question was why I stayed and continued with the CHW.
Yeah, and just how you found it, what drew you to it, what else you might have been considering.
Well, like I said, I found it through my employer. They suggested I do it. And through the course of my tenure as a CHW, and I've come to a few realizations of why I stay, because I don't know if y'all know, the money ain't all that good. It's okay, but helping people is very exhausting and tiresome and hard work. And when I was younger, when I was in high school, I wanted to be an architect, and that never came to fruition. And I always lamented on it, and thought I lost out on a dream I had. But being a CHW has made me realize something, is that I did achieve my dream. I am an architect. I'm an architect of people's lives. I help people. I bring them up. So I fulfilled my dream. And that's one of the reasons why I stay. And within the walls of ICJ, it gives me a unique opportunity to help people, just not in a medical standpoint, but in a real meaningful way. Because the CHWs that my colleagues, most of them work within medical offices, doing medical things 24/7, 365. Me, I get to create and do different things, and along with the medical component. I get to create programming for folks. I facilitate classes. I'm out there in the community educating people. So yeah, I'm staying for a while. Can't get rid of me.
I know you had addressed it to the apprentice, but from a mentor standpoint, like I said, we have had three cohorts, and one of the things that I found, or I was able to take away, was they were in some ways young people that really didn't have a lot of guidance or focus. So if you're able to find yourself in a setting in which you are meeting a young person who doesn't want to go to college, and is really unsure what they want to do, they may be a good fit for the apprentice program, because in the long run, or sometimes they have an idea of what they want to do, but they don't know what path they should take. And the program that we've been able to be a part of, every single student that has come through our program has started off with that perspective, and everyone has found herself with full-time employment with us, and then now they're attending Community College of Philadelphia, and they have a focus, and they're majoring, and they're pursuing their degree. And I think that that's one of the things that's really helpful for when you're working with young people who may not really understand or know the path that they want to walk on. Yeah.
Excellent. We have time. One more question? We have time for? Yep. One more question up front right here.
Hi, I'm Greg Sertman with Tooling U SME. Dan, we haven't met, but I appreciate the plug earlier on. So we're an online provider of content in the manufacturing space that plugs a lot of RTI gaps. I'm really curious to know what's next for each of you. Are you in a spot of comfort, or is there something, what's that next step for you, either whether it's role-wise or education, combination of both? And you don't have to answer if you're not comfortable with it, because there's...
As of right now, I'm comfortable with the company that I'm at. As far as the next step, I'm on the way to the tool and die makers journeyman's papers, so that would definitely be the next major step. I have a 2-year work back period with the company, but there's all chances to continue building, and it's not a trade that you know it and then you know it. It's constantly evolving. So it'd be staying current here, and then maybe later on down the line, if I did decide to go the engineering route, which I probably won't, but it would help me. It would definitely help anybody who had those aspirations. So.
I'm extremely comfortable at JEVS. It's almost ridiculous how comfortable at JEVS I am. Next steps, I'm thinking definitely, I've had to take time and think about this because, I'm not big on college. Obviously, I took the apprenticeship pathway. I'm not saying I don't need it. Like from a kid, I've been, raised. My mom's always told me, "You're going to college to get, you're going to get it done." So I think I'm going to go for my associates, maybe my bachelor's. I'm not sure yet. Probably my bachelor's. At the end of the day, when I get older, I'll probably look on it and say I should do it. On top of that, I'm going to go and get my Cisco's CCNA certification to go into the world of networking, which is the next step up. Networking, then cybersecurity, which is the long-term goal. And then that's about it.
For me, I'm never comfortable anywhere. I'm in America, so I can't be comfortable. But as far as with Fight, I plan on staying there and pursuing a further career with them in maybe another area. And I'm also thinking about opening up my own reentry consulting firm to work at on the side.
So just as last words for Shanay, where do you see, where would you like to see the apprenticeship go at your company from here?
Well, it would be, what we hope to do is continue to expand. But can I back up a little bit before I answer that? Mm-hmm. So when we first started the apprentice program 3 years ago, it's a work in progress. And so there was a lot of, you always have to, you have everything cut out, you have everything planned out, but then you always have to be comfortable with you have to be flexible. And you might have to find yourself just a trial and error. And so we've done that, and that's great. And so now we're at a place 3 years later where we understand the curriculum, we understand the competencies, and we understand how we can then help our apprentice move forward with completing their on-the-job learning skills. So now it's just about continuing to expand that role and potentially bringing more on board if possible. Because one thing I always tell people, keep in mind, you have to make sure that you have the workforce or the people there, the capacity to support your apprentice that you have. Mm-hmm. And so that's something that we are now in a place where we have the capacity, we have the people there to support our apprentice. So knowing that, it will be great to just continue to see more come on board and also expand the role of the apprentice within the year that they're working with us.
Excellent. Well, thank you each of you. Can we get a round of applause for our panel here?